Good morning. Everybody is entering. Good morning. We'll wait just a few seconds so we can get everybody into the webinar. People are coming in. And in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Good morning or good afternoon or evening, everyone. I'm Joan Toth, the Executive Director of ChIPs, and super excited to be here to introduce the second in our Talent Connectors webinar series. And Talent Connector is our newest program that is aimed to prepare you for your next chapter, whether that is, it means you're gearing up for a promotion or considering a move, or you're actively job hunting. Each month this fall, we're bringing you inspirational speakers that are ready to help you get to that next step. And I am excited for today's presentation because I think we all struggle, no matter how many presentations we've done. I think we all struggle sometimes with presenting. And today we're going to have Bridgett McGowen Hawkins, who is going to talk to us about commanding the room, 20 must-know presentation do's, don'ts, and best practices. Bridgett wears many hats. She's an award-winning international professional speaker, hybrid publisher, and communications powerhouse who really tells it like it is. And she's going to move you to do the same. So when Bridgett speaks, people listen. And what you learn from her, you'll never speak the same way again. Bridgett, I am delighted to welcome you to ChIPs and turn it over to you.
Oh my goodness. I am delighted and so pleased and honored that you are giving me this opportunity, Joan. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to everybody joining from around the globe. Welcome to Command the Room 20 Must Know presentation and communication do's, don'ts, and best practices. I've got a quick start on the screen. Please post to the chat in 5 to 7 words a really big challenge you have when it comes to delivering presentations, designing presentations, or a big challenge you have when it comes to communicating. So, for our quick start, please post to the chat, and I'm going to get those answers to you in the session. Post to the chat your greatest challenge you have when designing, delivering, making presentations, and or communicating. And I'm going to get those answers in the session. Again, welcome to the session. So happy to have you. So happy to see you. Let's get started. Whether you are presenting at a conference, if you're on a webinar, if you're in the middle of negotiations, it doesn't matter. It can be stressful getting your point across. And you know, the anxiety, the body response, it is maddening. However, once you have a strategy and when you know how to present like a powerhouse and communicate like a confident commander, you are feeling strong. You're feeling fierce. You're feeling bold. You're feeling fly. You're feeling like you're all that and a bag of what? Once you have a strategy, all of that changes for you. By the time we're done with this session, you're going to know what it is the most confident speakers, presenters, communicators do. You're going to know exactly how they do it and how to avoid some of the biggest mistakes you may not even realize you're making. And then finally, you're going to know, most importantly, why it all matters. Specifically, you're going to know what will make adults immediately listen to you, no matter what it is you're saying. You're also going to know how to stop getting talked over. I can't wait to get to that one. You're going to know how to brag on yourself without sounding like you're bragging, but we all know it's incredibly important. You're also going to know the big mistakes you may be making on webinars and how to avoid those. You're going to get presentation and communication secrets you will not find anywhere else, except for maybe in one of my books. You're going to know how to be unforgettable for all of the right reasons, and then we're going to get to your next steps. My name is Bridgett McGowen, and what I do is I empower professionals to be the most engaging, dynamic, incredible communicators ever. Let's return to the quick start. I saw anxiety right out the gate right out the gate. And I'm going to tell you to get that anxiety to a minimum, what it takes is practice. And I'm not talking about mentally going through your presentation or mentally going through your script. I'm talking about practicing your entire presentation or your entire spiel at least 3 times all the way through aloud as if your audience is right there with you. That will reduce the anxiety and the nervousness, Jennifer. I promise you. I promise you. Concise visuals and descriptions is from Barb. Barb, watch what I do throughout this session. You see, this session just doesn't tell you what to do. I also show you what to do. So those concise visuals, you're going to see most of my slides are just big images with one blurb, or I'm giving you blurbs one at a time on the screen. I love getting visuals from Pixabay, Pexels, as well as there's another one that's unsplash.com. You can get royalty free images that are high resolution and that look fantastic and have you looking like a pro. And then what I want to do is like boil down each slide, think about what is the big idea here, and then find an image that accommodates that accompanies that. Tiffany writes, making the PowerPoint with enough words that I remember what I'm speaking about, but not too wordy slides. Yes, this is where the rehearsal piece comes in, Tiffany. And also, I have a little secret. When you're delivering webinars, use the notes. I will use notes throughout this session for some pieces that are new to this presentation. But if you adjust your slides just so, and you use the advanced settings for sharing content in Zoom, it makes all the difference when you can see your notes. We can talk more about that offline, Tiffany. I can certainly show you how that goes. Vicky has feeling anxious and awkward, talking too softly and quietly. Vicky, what I want you to start doing is making sure you feel your diaphragm. When you feel your diaphragm, that positions you to be able to project your voice better. You see, a lot of times when you breathe and your shoulders go up, that's shallow breathing. And so it doesn't position your words to float on air. But when you feel your diaphragm and you know you're feeling it because your midsection expands, if you take a breath and your shoulders go up, that's shallow breath. Feel the diaphragm and then make sure that you are using that air to push your words out. Again, we could talk more about this offline. I am so up to talking to y'all offline about any questions that you have. Holding the audience's attention, writes Jennifer, when it comes to complicated subject matter, that's when you've got to boil it down to its simplest terms. You've got to boil it down to the easiest terms. Think to yourself, what are the gold nuggets, silver nuggets, and bronze nuggets? The gold nuggets are what are the big headlines that they need to take away? If they were to teach this to someone else, what is the minimum they need to know? Silver nuggets are the pieces that support the gold nuggets. Bronze nuggets are everything else that can fall into place. Shannon has that same question about being simple and succinct. It is really about identifying those gold, silver, and bronze nuggets. Ooh, Haley says, writes, saying, Oh, do I have something for you, Haley? I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm going to give you the answer right now. We'll talk more about it later. To avoid saying, I want you to stop and say nothing. I just did it in that sentence. I just did it in that one as well. You see, when we get ready to use a filler word, it's because our brain is trying to catch up with our mouth. And so we're trying to do the thinking and it's verbalizing the thinking when we say. But what you do when you feel yourself, you know you're getting ready to say it. When you feel yourself getting ready to say it, stop and say nothing. We'll talk more about that later. Great question. Making them visually pleasing. Yep. Use some of those sites that I shared with you. Not falling back into technical terms. Yes, that's a tough one. I want you to think about this, Katie. Say to yourself, if I was explaining this to my grandmother or someone from a different generation, would they understand it? That's the key. Find someone from a different generation and share it with them and see if they get it. Oh, Ciara says what to do with my hands, not rocking, swaying, saying, it is the practice. It's the practice, it's the practice, it's the practice. That is what's going to support you with that. Sharon, we all still get super nervous. Sharon, I have been doing this since 2001. Sharon writes, I'm still one of those who gets super nervous about public speaking. I've been doing this since 2001. I was up at 4 a.m. going through this presentation. I was concerned before we got on. It happens. And see, this is the thing, Sharon. When you're nervous or anxious, that's a good sign because it means you are concerned about making sure you do a good job. So as long as the nerves don't get in the way of you performing, you're good. Someone else writes online, get everyone to listen. I'm going to show you exactly how that's done. As a matter of fact, pick up everything that I'm putting down. I am not only going to tell you what to do, but what? I'm going to show you how to do it. We'll talk more about how to get people's attention online. Voice inflections, especially in webinars. What I want you to do, Anna, if you have a young child in your family, start reading children's books to them and get excited when the content is really exciting and speed up your voice. And then slow down if things are getting kind of gloomy. Read a children's book to a child in your life, and that's how you can practice being more animated. Okay, I'm going to come back later in the webinar, grab some more of your questions. These are fantastic. These are fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. Keep your questions coming throughout the session. I will stop periodically to make sure you get answers. Pop in the chat and let me know if those answers that I gave were helpful. I love watching the Food Network. I'm telling you, and I don't know what it is about when I travel. For some reason, I like watching the Food Network. I don't know where I'm supposed to go cook this stuff if I'm staying in a hotel, unless it's like one of those residence inns or something like that. But no matter the show you watch, it's going to start pretty much the same way. They all start with a finished dish. And you see, this is quite calculated and quite deliberate. The reason they do that is they want to future pace you. They want you to look at that dish and think, wow, that looks fantastic. If I pay attention for the next 30 minutes, I'll know how to make that dish. If I tune in and lean in for the next half hour, I will know exactly how to make that recipe. I'm all ears. You see, these shows don't start by sharpening knives or chopping veggies or telling you how to clean a cast iron skillet. And by the way, my husband is not allowed to touch our cast iron skillets. Uh-huh. Yeah, he called himself cleaning one time. That was a disaster, but I digress. They don't start off by telling you where they got the produce from. They immediately have you leaning in. A lot of times presentations will start with a lot of background information, reading this long bio of the speaker, giving all of this, you know where I'm going. And it does not do anything to help you be a standout speaker. In fact, when you start presentations with a lot of information like that, it is akin to someone starting a cooking show by chopping veggies, as opposed to showing you or telling you immediately what you'll know or be able to do by the end of the show. So, number 20 in our countdown is do not waste time chopping veggies. Do not waste time giving your audience information that is completely irrelevant or that does not make sense with getting them closer to where they need to be. And that is all of the fluff. Instead, number 19, immediately give your audience a reason to listen. And for those of you where you have a challenge with making webinars interesting and engaging and pulling people in, this is your key. I promise you, it's immediately giving your audience a reason to listen. Now, I already know you're saying, Bridgett, that sounds lovely, but how do you do that, Toots? Let me show you. Our neighbors have gotten accustomed to me flying through the neighborhood on two wheels, burning rubber. And they know, they look at the clock, and it's about 5 minutes, 4 minutes till the top of the hour. They know 9 times out of 10, Bridgett is rocking and rolling, trying to get in her seat to get on a webinar, not to deliver one, but probably to watch one. And I remember that happening one time. I'm telling you, I'm coming in guns a blazing. Matter of fact, my car's in the shop today, coincidentally. But that's another story. That's another story. We'll go pick it up this afternoon, but I'm digressing. I remember I was flying in, parked the car, ran in the house, fired up the Zoom link. I get on, and they're asking people to post to the chat where they're chiming in from, where they're located, what city they're in. I'm thinking, really? I nearly took out a baby in a stroller and a dog on a skateboard trying to get here on time. And my reward for getting here on time is you sitting here asking people for the zip code? Listen, I understand giving people that buffer, and that's probably what they were doing. Give people a few minutes to trickle in. But for those people who got there on time, why not reward them? Why not do something like find out what the audience is thinking relative to your topic? Because when you do that, you're taking the temperature of the room. You get a sense of how engaged people are, how excited they are about the content that's about to come. Instead of asking people what's the weather like in their neck of the woods, immediately solve a problem for them. And instead of asking for people's uh, zip code, area code, demonstrate you are about to bring the goods. How that's done. To find out what people are thinking relative to your topic, ask them, just post it on the screen. On a scale of 1 to 5, how important is it that you figure out X? With X being a topic you're going to cover in your presentation. You're taking the temperature, you're immediately getting them engaged. If you want to immediately solve a problem, ask, what's a question you have about why, with why being the topic you're presenting on? Sound familiar? What's a challenge you have with presenting or communicating? Post them to the chat. You'll get answers in the session. You're immediately giving them value. And when you immediately give an audience value, they're more likely to tune in. To demonstrate you're about to bring the goods, ask the audience out of A, B, or C, with A, B, and C, A, B, and C being topics you're going to cover. Ask which one is most important for you to learn today. And then you can tell them, guess what? You're in for a treat because we're covering all three of those. So ask more meaningful questions to pull in the audience. If you know it's important for them to solve a problem, ask what's a question you have about the topic and then answer as many questions as you can in that session. If you're wanting to figure out how people are feeling, ask that first question. If you're wanting to figure out what's super important for people and where you want to spend most of your time and maybe where you want to spend a little bit less time, ask out of ABC. Yeah, you get the idea. Something else that I've seen people do in webinars that is not a smart move, and that is individually greeting people. Where they'll say, oh, hey, Tom, hey, Betty, hey, Ginger, good to see you, girl. You need to number 18, greet everyone individually or greet the entire group. But when you're greeting Betty and Tom and Ginger, everybody else is in the room thinking, well, what am I? Chopped liver? So either you're going to extend a salutation to everybody who has joined, or just don't say anything at all. But just a, hey, it's great to see everybody. Welcome to the session. Will do the trick. But don't start singling people out because it makes other people feel not so special. Number 17, stand for your web-based presentations if you physically can. If you cannot stand for your web-based presentations and you have to remain seated, make sure both feet are flat on the floor. You see, according to body language experts, having both of your feet planted on the floor helps you go between creative thought and highly complex rational thought. You're able to easily go back and forth between the limbic reptilian part of your brain, which governs balance, to the neocortex, the part of your brain that's involved in higher order brain functions, such as sensory perception and cognition. There really is something to that thinking on your feet. Plus, when you stand for your webinar, you're more likely to gesture. And when you're more likely to gesture, it brings a different energy to your session. But I'm going to break it down. Let's be real. If you were delivering a presentation at a global summit on a stage in front of all numbers of people, would you really sit for it if you can physically stand? So when you stand, you are commanding the room. Your naturally good posture can now let that air that I was talking about from your diaphragm do the work of carrying the sound of your voice as you speak. And you're better positioned to fill that diaphragm, not your lungs while you speak. It's having that air in that diaphragm that is going to have your words floating on air. So stand for your web-based presentations. Time for a check-in with you. This is going to be my manufactured poll, if you will. I'm not using the poll in Zoom. I kind of worked this up. So I want you to post to the chat your letter that corresponds with which one will improve your webinars the most. Is it A, Finding out what the audience is thinking relative to your topic. Is it B, immediately solving a problem? C, demonstrating you are about to bring the goods? Is it D, standing for your web-based presentations? Or is it E, or our second D? You can put D2 or E, and I'll know what you're talking about. Is it E, burning rubber, driving on two wheels through your neighborhood? Post that to the chat while I check on some more questions. Yes, making sure. Michelle, this is a good one. Her question was, how do I make sure to hit the right level of details for the intended audience? Ask yourself, will they be able to explain it to someone else? Kim, keeping the audience's attention. Make sure you have a good balance. Speak in the web environment, web-based environment, speak for no more than about 8 to 10 minutes at a time before then pausing to engage your audience with a question that has them thinking and applying your content, and then speak for another 8 to 10 minutes at a time. If you're in the in-person environment, speak for about 12 to 15 minutes at a time, and then engage your audience with a meaningful question. We'll talk more about what a meaningful question is. Geneva, delivering legal issues in a way the business unit stays interested when the issue is important and also tangential to obvious concerns. Start with nailing the pain point. You remember when I started, I said something along the lines of whether you're delivering a presentation at a conference, whether you're delivering a webinar, it can be stressful. I hit a pain point for you. Immediately show them, Geneva, that you speak their language and you understand where they're coming from. When you start that way and give them a reason to listen, let them know what they'll know or be able to do by the end of your session, it makes all the difference. I have another one, being confident enough to get through the presentation and questions without notes. I have notes up. Do not be afraid to have your notes, but make sure you've practiced and rehearsed enough. So if you need to go off script, you can, because you don't want to stand and you're doing this the entire presentation. Know your presentation well enough so that the notes are nice. They're just a little safety net over here to the side, but don't feel like you have to have no notes whatsoever. Great question. Stephanie writes, creating PowerPoint slides that are interesting and add to rather than dominate the presentation. Stephanie, let me know if the slide design I have here today is helpful to you. All right. And I see a lot of responses in the chat to the poll. I see a lot of C's, a few D's. Nobody chose the last D, unless the D's I see are the last D. Thank you for responding to that. Thank you so much. You are fantastic. Let's move on. Number 16. Never say, come on, you could do better than that. You know exactly what I mean. The speaker gets up, greets the audience with all kinds of enthusiasm, and then the audience responds with, yeah, hey, girl. And then the speaker is just hurt to the core. And the speaker replies with, come on, you can do better than that. Listen, real talk. You have not done anything to get anybody excited. Unless you're some kind of a rock star or a celebrity, you have not put in the work on that stage to get the audience hyped. So if you get that kind of a response that's pretty lackluster to your greeting the audience, take it as a personal challenge. Say to yourself, okay, I see you. I got you. You're not excited right now. Just think it silently to yourself. You're not excited right now, but wait till you get a load of this presentation, right? Because you already know you're about to bring it. So scratch that from your script. Never say that to an audience because then it makes the audience feel like, well, what? I'm not here to do the work. You're here to do the work. Why am I getting chastised right out the gate? Always make your audience feel fantastic. Number 15, never introduce yourself with, for those of you who don't know me, does this suggest everyone should know you? Or is your intent to introduce yourself only to those who do not know you? And for those who don't know you, are you saying they're losers? Listen, I know that's not what you're thinking when you say that. However, what in the world does that phrase mean and why use it? Maybe it's because you don't know how to introduce yourself, and I'm going to tell you right now. The easiest way is just to say, hi, my name is, period. You are your brand. So it does not matter if people already know you or not. Always announce yourself and put the power in your name that it deserves. Oprah Winfrey is always going to show up and say, hello, I'm Oprah Winfrey. She's never going to say, for those of you who don't know me, when you watch your favorite newscaster, they start every single episode with, hello, welcome to whatever the show is. I'm such and such. So get rid of that phrase. It does nothing for your brand. It does nothing for it. Just put the power and punch behind it that it deserves. Number 14, stop getting talked over without raising your voice. Let me show you. Let me show you how that's done. One, what I want you to start doing is claim the floor early. I'll show you exactly how that's done. Next, I want you to use your name as an anchor. Next, recruit allies or be an ally. I'm going to show you exactly how all of these are done. And then finally, address interruptions directly but gracefully. And that one is my favorite. So let me show you. When you claim the floor early, first off, have you ever started sharing an idea in a meeting and then somebody cuts you off? Uh-huh, yeah. Or worse, they repeat your point later as if it was their own idea. Frustrating. Doesn't have to be that way. Doesn't have to be your norm. Claim the floor early. This is how it's done. At the start of a meeting, at the start of an agenda item, begin with phrases like, I have 3 quick points to share, or 2 points, whatever it is. Or start with, I need to outline an idea, or I want to outline an idea that builds on dot, dot, dot. You see, this signals structure. When you tell me you've got 3 points, people are interested in listening. They know it's not going to ramble on. And when you share those 3 points, make sure you don't ramble. We'll talk more about that later. When you indicate that you want to build on something that someone else has already shared, people will hesitate to interrupt you because it sounds like this is going to be something that is of value to everyone. So that is how you immediately make sure you claim the floor early on. I've got 3 points to share. Here they are. Bam, bam, bam. Or I want to outline an idea that builds on something that Tina said in the last meeting. Bum, bum, bum. Next, use your name as an anchor. Woo! This especially is important on Zoom or on phone calls. This is Bridgett, and I would like to add. You see, it's harder to bulldoze someone who has clearly identified themselves. So, and this goes back to that last point about how you introduce yourself and putting power behind your name. So, to show up in a meeting and say, this is Bridgett, because I've been in meetings where I'm like, hello, hello, is my mic on? Right? I'm wondering what's going on because I'm trying to share something. But when you shift it and you say, this is Bridgett, and I need to add X, Y, and Z, and I almost want you to change like to need. This is Bridgett, and I need to add. I like to add sounds a little bit too delicate for my taste, but it's up to you. Next, recruit allies or be an ally. Before a big meeting, let a trusted colleague or two know that you're going to share something so they can back you up. And they can say, I like to hear Bridgett finish her thought. I know Sharon has some ideas on this matter. I'd like to hear from her. And then on the flip side of that, if you see somebody trying to get a word in edgewise, if you see somebody's hand has been up, if you notice someone is trying to talk, don't be afraid to say, hold on, I saw Barbara over there getting ready to say something. Barbara, what was that? So recruit allies, but also be one. And then here comes my favorite one. Address interruptions directly, but gracefully. Here's what I mean. If someone interrupts you, say, I'd love to finish this point, then I'm eager to hear what you have to say. Uh-huh. And then slightly smile at them. Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. See, don't do it the other way around because it sounds like this. I'm eager to hear your thoughts, but I want to finish this point. When you use the word but, it cancels everything that preceded it. So I'm eager to hear your thoughts, but I ain't really eager to hear your thoughts. So instead, I want to finish this point, and then I'm super excited to hear what you have to say. Protecting your voice and setting boundaries without creating conflict, it doesn't mean you're being aggressive. It means you're being deliberate. Respect yourself enough to insist on being heard. Bottom line. Now, before I get to number 13, I need you to please type in the chat how tall you think I am. Before I move on, type in the chat how tall you think I am. Uh, that's a great question, Olivia. When you post those temperature questions, do you adjust your presentation on the fly? When you are finding out where people are thinking, you can let them know. Based on what I saw here, it looks like the majority of you are most interested in letters A and B. So I'm going to spend the bulk of my time on A and B and just a little bit of time on letter C. So don't feel like you've got to completely redesign your presentation, but you can share with people if you feel comfortable enough doing that, that I plan on covering these 3 points, but because of your feedback here, we're going to focus mostly on numbers 1 and 2. So let me know if that answers your question. And it's totally up to you in terms of your level of comfort as to if you want to adjust on the fly. That's a fantastic question right there. All right, so I'm getting 5'9", 5'6", 5'3", 5'10", 5'7", no idea, 5'5", 5'9". 6 feet. Okay. 5'2", 5'8". Okay. 5'9". All right. Keep those heights coming in. I'm going to go through a couple of points for you. There is a direct correlation between the sound of a person's voice and height. And taller people are regarded with greater respect and greater authority than those who are shorter in stature. The more control and confidence are conveyed in a person's voice, the taller that person is perceived to be. Research conducted by VU, University of Amsterdam, and the University of Oxford suggests tall people have an advantage over short individuals in terms of status, prestige, and leadership. Taller leaders are seen as more leader-like, more dominant, and more intelligent. Again, there's a direct correlation between the sound of a person's voice and height. The more control and confidence are conveyed in that voice, the taller that person is perceived to be. The more that control and confidence are conveyed in a person's voice, the greater respect and authority you will garner. And I know this because I am 5'1". A lot of times when I do these Zoom sessions, those who will take a guess, the majority of them get it not quite right. There were several of you who got 5'1", but oftentimes I'm mistaken for a much taller person when I'm in the online environment. And my 2-inch heels give me a little bit of an edge next to my husband, Aaron, who is 5'11". But here's the deal. It does not, thank you, Monica. I was hoping you wouldn't spill the beans and let people know exactly how tall I am. But it does not matter if you are 5'1" or 6'1". The sound of your voice can give you an edge as a leader, and you can play it to your advantage in the virtual environment. So, number 13 is practice tone, pitch, and getting to the point. Ending statements with an upward lilt makes them sound like questions. Ending on a downward note to sound decisive and more confident makes a difference. So practice your tone, your pitch, and getting to the point. Getting to the point means number 12, cut the fluff. If your point takes longer than 30 seconds to explain, trim it. This is what I want you to use. Headline plus impact plus detail plus impact. For example, our client onboarding process is slowing revenue. That's the headline. A two-step change, that's the detail, will cut time by 40%. That's the impact. This fix isn't going to make it so you're talking more. It reduces talking more. The fix isn't to explain, explain, explain. It's to talk with intentionality. When your voice carries authority, your ideas carry weight. Now, let's take this to email for a second. If you want to move people to action, then have and follow the 1-10-100 email rule. Have one call to action, make your first 10 words count, and then work hard to get to the point of your email as quickly as possible in those 10 words. And then make your message no more than about 100 words in length. So that is cutting the fluff. 1, 10, 100. One CTA, 10 words right out the gate that let them know what's going on. And then make that email no longer than about 100 words in length. Number 11, pause for power. Someone said, Bridgett, I need help with getting rid of the uhs and ums. I hear you. Silence is not weakness, it is punctuation. Use it to underline your authority and use it when you feel yourself getting ready to utter a filler word, such as like, so, you know. When you pause, like I just did, it comes off as a period at the end of your sentence. It sounds deliberate. It can sound like a contemplative pause, and it sounds far more confident than a filler word. Now, do not get rid of fillers altogether. A filler word here and there makes you sound human. And if you sprinkle one in here or there, makes you sound less robotic. At the same time, you'll want to monitor just how many filler words you use. Record yourself to figure it out. If your us, ums, like, so, you knows are getting in the way of your message, then you'll want to filter those out as best you can. Number 10, brag without sounding like you're bragging too often. Talented professionals let their work speak for itself, and then they get passed over. But here is the truth. Silence does not get you promoted. The key is strategic bragging. And here's how to do it right. Share results, not effort. Avoid saying things like, I worked really hard on this project. And instead, say something along the lines of, this project cut costs by 15% in Q2. That's impact, not just busy work or activity. Next, connect your success to the bigger picture. Show how what you achieved ties to team goals or company goals, department goals, and it sounds collaborative instead of selfish or self serving or braggadocious. Next, practice this formula of pairing an I with a we. Here's what I mean. Try saying, I spearheaded X and with the team's support, we achieved Y. Uh-huh. It credits you without leaving out other people who may have been integral in the success of the project. And then finally, keep it crisp on Zoom. You see, that physical distance can increase the likelihood of you losing people's attention spans. But here's the deal. Let me say this very quickly. As long as you're giving value, the likelihood of people going off, starting to load of clothes, starting up the dishwasher, getting on their Target app, it goes down if you give value. Rambling dilutes your win. Keep it crisp. Two clear sentences are better than five that circle all around the point. Here's the rule. Bragging done well is not bragging at all. It is communicating value. And if you don't say it, do not assume anyone else will. Let's go to a 3, 2, 1 activity. Think about what we've covered thus far. Take 3 seconds to think of two things that have caught your attention. Then type a 1 in the chat if you are ready for more. I see someone wrote, stumbling over my words. I'm telling you, O Lynch, that practice is what is going to help you. It's what is going to get you to the point where when you deliver that presentation, you have already gone through that script in your head. And even if you do stumble over a word here and there, don't give it power. Just correct yourself and keep moving. Don't say, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I meant to say. Just keep moving. You've got this. I see a lot of number ones. That means it's time for us to move on to number 9. Never speak with your back to your audience. Before I talk about that, I want to grab Cece's question. Where's the nature of your accomplishments or projects is not measured in percent savings? What are 3 ways to share? Okay, I'm not super clear on your question, CC, where the nature of your compliment or not measured in percent. What are three ways to showcase it? Ah, gotcha. Never mind. Gotcha. I just have to read it one more time. Figure out what is the impact. Because I'm going to assume whatever you're doing, it is for the it is toward reaching some kind of a goal. It is in furtherance of a mission. So find what is important to the team, important to the company, important to the mission, and then identify how your accomplishment directly connects to you getting the team, the company, the project closer to the finish line. So maybe it's not an exact percentage. I get it. And I've been in positions like that where I can't show sales increasing or retention rates going up or something like that. So sometimes you have to look at the qualitative as opposed to the quantitative impact. So find what that qualitative piece is, figure out why are we doing this, what is it we're hoping to actualize or realize, and then figure out how you contributed to that. Cece, let me know if that answers your question or if that supports you with figuring out how to do that. Never speak with your back to your audience. You see, your voice carries in the direction that you're speaking. Why is this a big deal? Why am I bringing this up? It is a way to maintain your audience's attention, and it also shows you as a confident being. And it keeps down disruption and the sidebar conversations. You see, when somebody turns and they're talking like this, and you're wondering, what did they say? What's going on? Right? And then they start, what did she say? And then the other person, I don't know, because if she can't be bothered enough to turn and talk this way, then I can't be bothered enough to figure out what she's saying. All those things. Always face your audience whenever you speak to them. I know sometimes we like to roam around rooms and physical spaces. Try to reduce that, or you can do that. But if you have something to say to the audience, make sure you're at the front and center of the room. That is the power position of the room. Number 8, do not read your slides to your audience. Oh, here's what I mean. Your audience can read silently faster than you can read aloud. The average person can silently read nonfiction at 238 words per minute, and it's 260 words per minute for fiction. But the average oral reading speed is approximately 183 words per minute. So if a speaker reads a slide to you, but you're doing what we are naturally inclined to do, silently read the slide, then well, yeah, you kind of get my point. Avoid putting full paragraphs on a slide. And if there is a large slide, well, we'll talk about that in a second. Avoid putting entire paragraphs and entire sentences on slides if it's not absolutely necessary. And here's the thing. Let's say you do need to put an entire paragraph on a slide. I understand sometimes you do have to do that. That means you need to let the audience read it for themselves. Number 7, if you need them to read, let them read. Let me tell you, I am such a huge fan of Judge Judy, and we've all seen her take a piece of evidence and she starts reading it. And then the litigant will start talking. And she'll say, don't you see I'm reading here? Sometimes speakers will give the audience a paragraph to read or a passage to review that they've printed out or maybe they've sent to them electronically. And then the speaker will keep talking. I can't read and listen to you at the same time. So if you really do need them to read, let them read. And speaking of letting the audience read, never say, I know you can't read the slide. Listen, if they cannot read the slide, then why is it in the deck? Either redesign or remove it. Now, I understand maybe you need to show a chart or a graph and there's a lot of data on it. Then, for context, you may need to show all of that, but then use animation or design features to zoom in on the piece, the point, the section that you need everybody to turn their attention to. You never want to tell the audience, number 6, I know you can't read this slide. Go in, redesign, rework it so they can read it. Number 5, never say, I'm sorry, I know that's a lot of information. Your audience does not want a lot of information. They want a lot of information that they can organize and use in an organized way. Yes. Monica, yes, people still use Prezi. I saw somebody post about Prezi on LinkedIn. Just the other day, I love Prezi. It everybody check it out. It's Prezi. Super fun way to use slides where you can on the fly change the direction. You're hilarious, Monica. Yes, super easy to quickly change directions of your presentation right there on the fly. Olivia, you might want to check it out too because of that question you asked about taking the temperature and changing your presentation right there on the fly. Monica, thank you for reminding me about that platform. It's a really super cool platform. Everybody, check it out. People want information organized in a meaningful way so that they can follow you easily. Number four, do not mistake being on camera for being engaged. Let me tell you something. You have seen people staring intently at their camera while you're presenting, and you know good and well they are not listening to you. Just because people are on camera does not mean they are listening to you. And especially if you didn't show up to give them any value, you know they're not listening to you. Because let's be real, when you see people and they have that focus right there on you, nine times out of ten, they're sitting there and they're doing email, they're placing an Amazon order, they're trying to find that cat video they meant to send their spouse. Remember that not all participants may be comfortable with getting on camera, or maybe they're not able to turn on their webcams for one reason or another. Now, while webcam use can enhance engagement, see, look at Monica. I love cat videos. She's probably looking for one now. While webcam use can enhance engagement, it is not the sole indicator of participation and attention. By incorporating a variety of interactive elements and actively engaging your audience so you can create a more dynamic and engaging webinar experience, that's what you want to do. And keep in mind, insisting people come on camera, ask yourself why you're wanting that in the first place. Some people may not be in a position to come on camera. Maybe they've got kids running around, half clothed, food stuck on their mouths. Maybe they are driving, and so being on camera does not serve anybody any kind of purpose. Maybe they're sick. Maybe they're nursing their baby and they don't necessarily want to be on camera and they're sneezing and they're coughing and all of those things. So ask yourself, why do you want people on camera? And if there's a really good reason, ask them from the start or ahead of time to get on camera. I mean, and here's how you ensure that people really are tuning in and paying attention. Again, give value, give them a reason to listen, and then have checkpoints like this one. I know this session is totally your jam. Before I get into the final three, I need you to write down on a little scrap of paper around you. Take 10 seconds to write down your biggest aha so far. Thank you, Jessica. I want you to be my one woman crusade going out telling everybody on camera does not mean engaged. Oh, goodness. Take 10 seconds to write down your biggest aha. I love that you have taken on the challenge. Oh, yes, that multitasking is it's a real thing. And listen, we're human. We all do it. I placed target order right before we got on here. Hopefully it'll be ready by the time I'm done. All right, let's move into number three. Great engagement comes from great questions. If you want to make sure your audience is engaged, great engagement comes from great questions. And I outline a number of great questions to ask. It doesn't matter the activity, the platform, the microphone, the stage. I have great questions in pages 115 through 121, shameless plug, of my award-winning book, Real Talk, available on Amazon or wherever you like to get your favorite reads. Great engagement comes from asking the audience great questions. That's what it boils down to. Number two, do not dim your shine. Listen, the sun does not ask permission to shine, and neither should you. Let me tell you something. I don't have my shades handy. We'll put on some glasses. If someone has a problem with your confidence and your shine, tell them to put on some shades. How you doing? And then number one, be unforgettable for all of the right reasons. Here's what I mean. Picture it. East Texas, Livingston High School, graduation time. I applied to one university and one university alone. I had plans to head to our nation's capital and attend Howard University, home of the Bisons. I was going there because a classmate and friend who graduated from high school the year before was there. She was doing well, and I was going to join her. And you know what? I don't even think she's heard the story before. I need to share it with her. Now, due to a confluence of events and things completely outside of my control, it was tough to hear this news from my father at the time. He said, Howard is not happening. I won't get into all of the details, and I still get emotional thinking about it now, but in July, just weeks before school is due to start, he tells me, you're not going to college. I am in a state of despair. I don't know what I'm going to do. I really, really had no clue. So when he shared this news with me, my immediate reaction was, oh my goodness. Then the last Wednesday in August, he had this brilliant idea. He gassed up the family car, said, come on, get in. We're taking a little road trip. We are going to Prairie View. Prairie View A&M University, the second oldest institution of higher learning in the state of Texas. It was about a 2 hour, 2.5 hour roughly drive from where I grew up. I'm thinking this is the dumbest thing ever. It's Wednesday. School starts Monday in 3 business days. We're going to look like fools and be treated accordingly, showing up as country bumpkins, talking about, I need an application for admission. I'll never forget how I felt, but I'll also never forget how everyone I spoke to on that campus made me feel. Every move they made, every word they said, they commanded the room and they commanded confidence. When I went to admissions, they didn't say, girl, what are you talking about? The deadline for applications passed months ago. When I went to housing, they didn't say, what is wrong with you? We've already filled up every bed. We can't accommodate you. Are you losing it? Financially, it didn't matter where I went. Everybody spoke to me like they were an ambassador of that campus. Everybody spoke to me like I was the most important person in their sights. Nobody turned me away. Nobody made me feel less than. Nobody told me what I should have, could have done. Nobody told me it was too late for anything. They took my information. They said they'd give me a call. Take care. Have a safe drive back home. And for the first time in many days, I felt some hope. I felt a ray of sunshine. I felt like things might be okay. So that was Wednesday. Thursday, I go home and I sit by the phone. I sit by the avocado green phone. And don't act funny. I know some of y'all had one of those phones too with the matching shag carpet. Thursday morning, I'm sitting by the phone. Thursday morning comes, Thursday morning goes. The phone does not ring. Thursday afternoon comes and goes, but the phone does not ring. Friday morning comes, Friday morning goes, and the phone does not ring. Friday afternoon around 2 p.m., the phone rings. It's Aunt Shirley wanting to know what we're having for dinner. I'm kidding. No. It was Prairie View A&M. Hello, may I speak with Bridgett McGowen? This is she. Congratulations, young lady. You have been admitted into Prairie View A&M University. Move-in day is tomorrow, Saturday. Pack your things. Welcome to the Hill. Take charge of everything you say to make yourself unforgettable for all of the right reasons. You see, that happened many years ago, but I'll never forget how people made me feel or what people said. They commanded the room with everything they said. They didn't waste time. They didn't use a lot of fluff. They didn't make me feel less than. They took charge of everything they said and every move they made. And that is what I want you to do. Recap. Number 20, do not waste time chopping veggies. Number 19, immediately give your audience a reason to listen to you. Number 18, greet everyone individually or greet the entire group. Number 17, make sure you stand for your web-based presentations or at least have both feet solidly planted on the floor. Number 16, do not say, come on, you can do better than that. Number 15, delete this from your toolbox. For those of you who don't know me, introduce yourself with the power that your name deserves. Number 14, do not let people talk over you anymore. Use those tips. Claim the floor early. Use your name as an anchor. Recruit allies and be an ally, and then address those interruptions directly but gracefully. Number 13, practice tone, pitch, and getting to the point. This means number 12, you're cutting out the fluff. This means you're also pausing for power. This also reduces your use of filler words, which can diminish your credibility. Number 10, brag on yourself without sounding like you're bragging. Share results, not effort. Connect your success to the bigger picture, the bigger mission, the bigger goal. Practice putting an I with a we and keep it crisp on Zoom. Number 9, never speak with your back to your audience. Number 8, do not read your slides to your audience. Let them read if you need them to read. That's number 7. Number 6, never say, I know you can't read this slide, redesign, or delete it altogether. Number 5, never say, I know that's a lot of information. Deliver it in digestible chunks. Number 4, do not mistake being on camera for being engaged. Number 3, great engagement comes from great questions. Questions that have people thinking big picture, applying your information to new concepts that has them changing their behavior. I talk about that in my book. Number 2, do not dim your shine for anyone. Hand out sunshades in the audience if you need to. And then number 1, be unforgettable for all of the right reasons. As we come to a close, I've got a 1, 2 free for you. If you love this session and you really want to spend time on shifting your communication, shifting your presentation so you always command the room, I invite you to work with me. I have limited availability throughout the remainder of the year. I would love, love, love to partner with you to get your voice exactly where you want it to be. Scan that QR code for options on how to work with me one-on-one to get your confidence exactly where you need it to be. Number 2 is grab a copy of one of my, 2 of my, as many of them as you want, award-winning books, Real Talk, What Other Experts Won't Tell You About How to Make Presentations That Sizzle, or the award-winning Show Up and Show Out, 52 communication habits to make you even more unforgettable. Both are in their second edition. Both of them have won awards. Both of them are available on Amazon. Or we always love something free. Scan that QR code to get my free guide, 10 ways to captivate any audience in 10 minutes or less. OMG, you have been absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much. Thank you to Monica. She and I met, well, kind of met It's another story behind that. In Washington, D.C., when I delivered a presentation for the Association for Talent Development. Thank you to Joan for the incredible introduction. Thank you to Bridgett. You have a Bridgett on your team who worked with me to get this set up and talk through the ideas for the session. She's on a plane, if I'm not mistaken, right now. Thank you to Olivia. Oh my goodness. Let me tell you, Olivia gave me so many gems until I ended up redesigning quite a bit of the presentation that I already had in mind. Thank you to everyone. And thank you, most importantly, to the audience members. My goodness, you're already crushing it. I am sending you good vibes that you'll crush it even harder going forward. Thank you, thank you, thank you for attending Command the Room 20 Must Know Presentation Do's, Don'ts, and Best Practices.
Bridget, amazing. Thank you. Here's a virtual standing ovation for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And that wraps up our second Talent Connector, and we'll see you all in October for the next one, October 7th.
Thank you, Bridget.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to
Oh,
see you. Good to see you, Monica.
awesome. Loved it. Amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good week,
Thank
lady.
you. Thank you, Bridget.
Thanks,
For sure.
Bridget.
Absolutely. Thank you. You're the best.